competence and merit over referral fees anytime for us. If we're just going, what's happening? It's doubt, and doubt can kill chains 100%. Fluid communication, even if they are little tidbit emails that we do share all the time, because ultimately we know a lot more than the client usually will, because they do this once every 10, 15 years, whereas we do this every single day. Just have the paperwork ready. If you can't find it, let us know from the get-go rather than we stumble block halfway through. I think that's definitely something that would help. The service charge went up by £1,200, so that was a really difficult conversation to have. If you're going to get a mortgage or you need a mortgage, you want to book in your mortgage valuation straight away. And the same with your survey. We've had a file that we're still going through since last year. I think we agreed the sale in August. The third-party managing agent for our sale took 7 weeks to send the right payment details for the management pack. That's not paying for the management pack and getting it back. That's to tell them how much they owe them. I think the ability to be able to pay over any bumps that we come across in this process, regardless how big or small, is probably what sets everyone apart when it comes to this.
So I'm here with Leon from EHB in Warwick. Leon's a local estate agent that we work with from time to time in connection with conveyancing matters, sales and purchases of houses and flats.
Yes, yeah.
How are you finding everything at the moment, Leon?
Well, morning, Alex. Yeah, I mean, things at the moment are quite stagnant. I think confidence in the economy and the market isn't too great with some of the clients that we're working with. I think over the past couple of years it has taken a dip. A lot of people now seem to be waiting for the Bank of England to tell them to make a decision. Rather, we're sort of like, let's get things moving. We get the ball rolling. We have a positive snowball effect. Leaseholds, which is something I'll like to touch base on later, is something that is definitely the weakest part of the market at the moment, purely with third-party concerns rather than client-based. With lenders, service charges, you've got the managing companies. I think they're adding more difficulties for the conveyancing process, and people know that now. People are very well clued up, so they do all this prior to engagement. So you'll find, if you look on Rightmove stats, if you look on everything, things are slowing down, and it's something we'd quite like to get to the bottom of, because it's difficult. You know, less for us, less for you, and then vice versa as well. It's sort of dying out a bit, I think, this year.
So just to clarify what you said there a little, you said there's stagnation in the market. Leaseholds are usually, but not always, the lower end of the market, the first-time buyer territory. Taking leaseholds out, is that stagnation at the 3-bed semi area, or is it more in the £1 million higher end, or across the board?
Yeah, it is. It can be across the board. I mean, where I am with the Warwick branch, we're quite localised. So we're Warwick, we're Barford, maybe Wellesbourne, and then we do go into Stratford and then the villages around Claverden. You do tend to see things slow down across the board. I mean, there's some properties that will always fly out because of what they are, sort of anything from the 50s to the 80s, the semis, the 3-4 beds. Usually the demographic in Warwick is there. We've got first-time buyers, we've got young families, we've got these slightly older families with maybe 1 or 2 kids that are growing up now, too small for a 3-bed, they need a 4. And then you have the demographic as well. We have the ageing demographic, so people are looking to downsize from their family home. So that does tend to stay popular, but looking at the figures over the past couple of years, it is definitely slower with that. And it does feel like a confidence thing, because we know the buyers are out there. We'll do a viewing on one property, we'll have 10 viewings, which is great, get the offers in, hand it over to you guys to get us through to the finish line. And then we'll list a very similar property that doesn't tick everyone's box and it goes absolutely quiet. We've just had a few actually where end of last year we had offers over the asking price, best and finals, and we've listed near enough the identical property and there's no one there for it. So it's interesting. It is really interesting. It'd be good to get to know the minds of the people, because obviously that is how we run our business. We are a people business. Yes, we help people sell houses, we help people buy houses, especially in your side of the profession. But it's people ultimately, and getting to know what they need and what they want from us is probably the best way forward to try and solve the stagnation.
Yeah.
But that seems to be the difficult part at the moment.
And when you have negotiated a sale on a particular house, and then it comes to the point of instructing a solicitor, what is it that you as an estate agent are looking for in a solicitor when you might be recommending that a buyer or seller use this one and maybe not that one? What are you looking for?
Yeah, I think, again, being a small local agent, we don't have the grace of a massive corporate sort of overview of telling us who to use, maybe by instruction. It gives us the advantage, though, to essentially pick who can work off merit and merit alone, regardless of personal relationships. We tend to find ones that are straight to business. They don't sort of dally on any files. We know we're not waiting 3 weeks for the searches to be applied for. Inquiries go to and from. None of the AI inquiries that are 50 pages when it's just, if you read the contract pack, they're there. And also, but the most important thing, and it is the same for us as well, is we pride ourselves off the fact that we can have negative feedback and then also bounce back through it. So if someone were to put in a complaint in with us or had an issue with the way we're selling their house, they could come into the office and we would offer a meeting with them. And we would have that with the solicitors that we want to work with as well. Not because we don't think they're going to be there many meetings, but it's always that if you don't have it and you need it, then you're stuck. But rather than if you have it and you don't need it, you're fine. And the solicitors that we put forward, such as yourselves, Ward and Ryder, I think over the past couple of years we've built a great working relationship with you. It's your team with Lister as well, and then there's the other teams in there as well that we do like to always put forward, as well as a few of the local firms around, because we know you can get the job done. And the more competent you are, sort of the less I have to do as the sales progressor and the negotiator in the office. It does make my job easier, but I'm not here to slack off. It just, I know you're in competent hands, because a lot of people say you're here for the fee, but realistically, I'd much rather get the sale through and get another sale through and get another sale through, rather than just, maybe get a bounce back from someone if they offer a referral fee. We much prefer, well, that's great, but competence and merit over referral fees any time for us. Those are sort of the main areas that we look for in a solicitor to put forward.
And when you're working with me or any other solicitor that you've recommended for a particular conveyancing job, what is it in the day-to-day between the solicitor and you as the estate agent that you're looking for and appreciate, and what makes the solicitor estate agent relationship work in your mind? For me, I would say it's communication. I get an email from you or any estate agent saying basically, hey, what's the update on this house?
Yeah.
I know you need to know why, because you're going to have to, you're being chased by someone else in the chain. There's a buyer or a seller who wants to know.
Forever being chased, yeah.
So I can just drop an email back and say, we've got mortgage searches have been ordered. They're due back on the 27th.
Yeah.
I've raised inquiries, waiting for replies. That gives you, I think, a brief overview just to give you an oversight of where the chain is. Is that what you're after?
Yeah, no, most definitely. I think fluid communication, even if they are little tidbit emails that we do share all the time with sort of, this is in, this is out. Because ultimately, we know a lot more than the client usually will, because they do this once every 10, 15 years, whereas we do this every single day. I mean, as a solicitor, your knowledge and on the job, and especially, is more superior to the estate agents. We like to see ourselves as sort of the translator, if you were, especially when it comes to all the contract packs and the searches. So we take pride in going through them ourselves as well whenever we get sent them through. But we know that we are there as the mediator between you and the client as well. And it's always good for the constant communication to be on the same page, so we're not confusing the client, because it's not exactly the easiest process anymore. And we've seen the search packs, we've seen how big all these files are. And for someone who, it's difficult to put in layman's terms on one side, especially ours, because almost it can come across as a bias maybe, because we're the ones selling the house. But if we're on the same page as you with the constant communication, we feel that's the best way for the client, because these, our mutual clients are the most important people in this process. And making sure that they're happy, they know what's going on, is the best thing. And we feel the constant communication is the best way for that.
I agree. And from my side, working with a smaller local estate agent such as yourselves, if I've got an issue, maybe I'm not being replied to on a particular point with another solicitor, or I feel something's taking a bit too long, or I get an inquiry come in that I think is concerning. The fact that I can speak to you and say, this is what I've been told, can you, assist? Can you have a conversation?
Most definitely, yeah.
I feel like that saves time, moves the point along, and it just comes back to good communication, in my opinion.
I think the ability to be able to pave over any bumps that we come across in this process, regardless how big or small, is probably what sets everyone apart when it comes to this, rather than sort of that, I'll ask, I'll get back to you in a week. We much prefer, it's a quick phone call. We've done it several times last week alone.
Yeah.
I mean, even on Friday, you went, oh, this has just come up. And I went, that's fine. I'll speak to the vendors, clients, and we'll take it from there. If it comes up again, we can squash it if it needs squashing. In the legal term of obviously covering it legally and not just putting it under the rug, just disclosure there. But no, most definitely it's best is making sure that we are on 100% the same page the entire time. I mean, 90% of conveyancing, you've got a high calibre solicitor, high calibre estate agent, bigging myself up a bit there, but you don't see an issue. And sometimes you think, well, that's fine, they've got me through that. But again, it's the whole need it and not have it, and have it and not need it. If something does go wrong, I think we touched base on it earlier. If something goes wrong, a firm dissolves halfway through, or a bad mortgage offer comes through, a bad survey comes through, or something happens between clients, you are then reliant on the other parts of this negotiation and transaction to hold everything up. And it's always best when you've got an agent and a solicitor and a client, of course, who are in direct communication. So anything does come up, we can resolve it straight away rather than park it for a bit, panic, then something else happen.
Yeah, I agree completely. So as a conveyancing transaction and sale purchase gets up and away, from your side as the estate agent looking into the legal side that the solicitors are dealing with, what would you think the common delays are? What could be, what slows it down and how could it be avoided?
I mean, it's difficult to pinpoint because sometimes on various files there are very unique delays. Mm-hmm. Overall, the main delay would sometimes be just if things taking, I won't call them delay, it's just due process. So searches, for example. Yeah. I mean, a few months ago in Warwick, they were coming back in maybe 3-4 weeks. They now come back in relatively less than a couple of weeks, which is great. But we as an agent, we always advise to a buying client that if you're going to get a mortgage or if you need a mortgage, you want to book in your mortgage valuation straight away. And the same with your survey. Now, you've probably seen it. Some people will not instruct their clients to start the legal process until they've had sort of X, Y, Z in. Can you afford it? Will they lend on it? And is there something wrong with the property? Now, that's understandable, but we want it booked in straight away. So, and then same with the searches as well. Make sure the client has finished their onboarding, they've paid for them. So I think that's sort of a human delay in something. And I think freeholds, there's probably less delays, less common delays, not including chains, of course, because then you're at the hands of other people. And I think that's when it's not finger pointing, but you can sort of, well, technically it's their fault for things being slow. So me as an agent, I'll speak up the chain of agents. The amount of email chains that I've got with random agents across the country, it's uncountable.
I can say that I've got a few chains at the moment where I've been ready. Off the top of my head, I can tell you 2 where I've been ready back in November, early December. Yeah. And they're just hanging by a thread with issues in the chain, just waiting to... Yeah. So effectively, the delays in a chain can be the length of a whole sale purchase transaction on occasion.
Yeah, I think the longer things goes on, we always say to each other, is especially the longer a buyer is there, okay, it's great, they're nice and patient, but their eyes are going to start wandering. They may go and find a similar property at a slightly lower price, especially the market has dipped a bit since we've negotiated that sale. And they may be, okay, they might take the hit of the £3,000, they've paid for the searches, they've paid all that, but if they're saving themselves £10,000, £15,000 on a purchase, they'll be happy to get rid of that and go move on. I think, freeholds, I think, if you're looking at, you've got the human error in the sense that people do tend to wait a bit, which is understandable. Everyone's apprehensive. It's a lot of money. It's the most stressful part of your life. I think studies have proven that it's higher than, moving house and buying a house and selling are up there the most stressful experiences of humans could ever do.
And in fact, it's one of the most expensive things you're ever likely to buy or sell for a lot of people.
Yeah. So, we never ask someone to do things quickly. If an offer comes in, I say on the same day as a viewing, I sort of go, do you want to sleep on it maybe? As much as I'm delighted that you like this house so much, I'll offer it. I don't want you making a mistake. I want you to, we always say to people, we want to make sure you are comfortable with every single figure you put forward. Because if you change your mind for no particular reason, my vendor client is going to be happy, the solicitor's not going to be happy, and you might not be happy. In a relative term, we'll never rush someone, but we do appreciate when things are done sort of promptly. I think that sort of, but leaseholds, go on for a while.
Too many third parties
Way too
involved
many.
in that to make it smooth and easy.
But it's because they lack communication. That's what it is. If we had good communication between the third parties, it would be fine. Because you've got the managing agent. We've had a file that we're still going through since last year. I think we agreed the sale in August. The third party managing agent for our sale took 7 weeks to send the right payment details for the management pack. That's not paying for the management pack and getting it back. That's to tell them how much they owe them. You would have thought, to me, as someone who wants to make sure my business is running smoothly, here's the bank details. Here's the reference code. Here's the amount. Let's get it ordered. And then we can move things through. And also, it doesn't look good for the buyer as well. If they're trying to buy a property and thinking, well, the managing agent's taking nearly 2 months to get back to someone to pay them. What are they going to get back if I need them to do something that they might have to put their hands in their pockets for?
Yeah, like when it comes to fixing the roof or other works that are
anything
urgent
Section
that need
20 related. Yeah, it's panic mode when we see that. Third parties really do delay. May not be a direct fault. It's just a lack of communication. There might be a small firm. They might be dissolved halfway through. They might be midway through a takeover. We had a takeover midway through selling a leasehold. The service charge went up by £1,200 all the way through. So that was a really difficult conversation to have.
I once had one. The new management company was passed no information by the old management company and couldn't produce a pack because they simply didn't know because they'd only been handling it for a couple of months.
Yeah.
Nightmare.
Yeah, it's difficult to explain that to a client as well because they're hearing this first time buyers. They're hearing this all for the first time ever. Okay, you might have parents or friends and relatives that have purchased. Hopefully very recently, so they know what the process is like. Because 20 years ago, I've had parents come to me and gone, Leon,
I didn't have to do this 20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Or when I bought my house in the 80s, it was a firm handshake and we were done in 3 weeks. And I've gone politely. That's not how things work anymore. There's so much more legal formalities that solicitors, agents have to go through now. The sellers, the clients. Actually, we sold a property 2 years ago. We're selling it again because the client just didn't want to move area. It just doesn't work for them. Now, prior to them purchasing it, the sale went absolutely smoothly. When they purchased it and when we're selling it again, we now know that there is, due to a more in-depth search that solicitors have to do in that time, a charge has come up from the council. Doesn't mean anything because it relates to when the area used to be a commercial site. But that's come up for the first time, and we were delayed 6 weeks on that sale because everyone was going, well, what's this? It's been cleared. It's no longer a pub. You can live there. It's all fine. They're all houses. The Warwick Council. Can I say that? Okay, sorry. They gave permission for the building demolition, all of that. And stuff like that can delay it as well. It's all these new legalities and formalities that you have to follow, which I probably could not comprehend to a definite level.
There's been a lot of mission creep in. Well, I've been doing this over 10 years, and in the 10 years I've been doing it, all sorts of new things have come in these 10 years, and that's just the last 10, 11 years, whereas everything that would have come in before. I think if you speak to people who were doing the job back decades ago, like you gave the example of the 80s, it's changed. You do completions in person at a solicitor's office where the solicitor would get together, have a cup of tea, have a chat, hand, checks and bank drafts.
Physical handovers,
yeah. So the whole thing's changed so much.
Yeah, I think an over-reliance on technology sometimes as well. As much as, I was just saying, I had a power cut this morning in the office. I'm looking over the phone, so set aside, got the data, I managed to log in and call all the agents and other solicitors that we were exchanging and completing with today. But sometimes, I've had it with clients where they've been a bit slow with the paperwork at the final hurdle, exchange completion, getting the final apportionments right. And I've gone, why are you taking so long to say, I don't have time in between appointments. And so that's fine. I understand that, work is very busy. We're never asking to give anything up. But I will come and pick them up from your office and drive them to the solicitor because sometimes that needs to happen. Parcels get lost all the time. And especially when you're not using a local firm or local to maybe your purchase or your sale and you're elsewhere, I think that's when we can sort of forget the digitisation of everything. A wet signature on a scanned document is great, but we can physically courier the original documents back and from. We can save ourselves a few days, which doesn't sound a lot, but I think
in a high stress situation,
exactly, it'll save the sale.
Yeah,
200%. We've had that before. Where we've had cinch point. Everyone is, they're saying in football it's squeaky bum time, and people go, well, why aren't X doing Y and why is Z doing A? And we'll go, right, well, we're going to step in this intermediary. We're going to go, right, we're taking that to there. We're taking this there. We'll sign it as a witness. We need to move forward. So I think that's the scariest of delays in there. But an over-reliance on technology sometimes can slow us down rather than speed us up.
Especially for certain clients who aren't as technologically adept as some other ones can be.
Most definitely. The demographic in Warwick is, there is a large over 65 demographic in Warwick. So much so that we've had to have the new parking meters put out that actually still accept cash. But yeah, sometimes when we do our onboarding forms, the property information questionnaire, we'll hand deliver it. We'll get them in the office. We'll apportion some time.
Yeah.
Imagine now a chain with this going on. We've got several clients that don't know how to use the internet. We've got clients that only have a landline, no mobile phone, no email address. So we sometimes speak to the children, but usually we go in and we have the conversation. I imagine, well, I know that you guys offer the same.
Mm-hmm.
You will go to see a client if that's what it requires, which is great. It's a great service that we can do. Yes, it takes time out of the day. Yes, it adds hours to the transaction, but it saves us days, potentially weeks.
Yeah, it's sometimes you can pick up the phone, have a 5-minute call with a client who hasn't understood something, which saves you a week of exchanging emails back and forth trying to explain the same thing.
Yeah, most definitely. My boss is very good at just going, Leon, just pick up the phone. I'm like, I'll do an email. He's like, no, pick up the phone. I'm like, yes, boss.
One of the delays that I think I see, and I wonder if it's something that you notice as an agent, is the government money laundering checks we have to do. So I have regularly, I'm told I'm buying a house and it's savings and mortgage. The savings turns out to have been a gift.
Yeah.
And then you have to ID the person who's given the gift, see where their money came from, then turns out they had a gift. And you can end up with quite a chain.
Yeah.
And then, you might start asking these questions, in the first week of being instructed, but it can take a full couple, 2-3 months in my
definitely
to get through to the end. So I have one at the moment, for example, where I'm ready to go, and I've been asking for 2 or 3 months, where did the money come from? And I'm getting little bits of information as we go rather than one like full bundle of bank statements at the beginning. So I find that quite often it can be difficult to get that. But is that something you notice yourself?
It most definitely. I think recently as well, I think, especially first-time buyers, a lot of people are getting, I'm glad that's just construction noise going on in the background. We do have a lot of people. I mean, I'm a first-time buyer this year, fingers crossed. I have been gifted a deposit, but luckily being in the industry and my parents who were in the industry, they know that I've got a gifted declaration signed. I've got ID documents ready to pass out. It's it's money they've saved it up on purpose for me. And then my brother is buying a house to do that because luckily my parents have been in a situation where they've saved money on the side to put towards me buying a house. Probably to kick me out as soon as possible. But I think now that I'm in rented, they've calmed down a bit. Most definitely we've had delays. We have 2 in-house checks. Through our CRM. So we use a system that we input everything on there. It's not obviously as in-depth as yours. It's Experian, all the other credit check, sort of anti-fraud alerts. We do that. Same with our lettings team. They do the same. Rightmove actually themselves offer their AML and other referencing credentials, which are good. It can add delay. We have had ones where it's like, where is the money from? And they go, it's a friend. And we go, unfortunately, AML laws account, you can't just have, as much as it is lovely, and it's great to have those people there. We are, very rigorous rules we need to follow, and we have seen it being delayed. And obviously from your perspective, you are, I can imagine, to a state quite annoyed that it's taken 2-3 months to get where is the money coming from. It's quite a simple question, but understandably different answers. But from another perspective, especially if that's your buyer, if you are working for the buyer and you've got a vendor there and they're thinking, well, why is it taking 2-3 months for tell me where the money's coming to selling my house? Panic mode. I think it's an education thing. Though, again, I'm in the industry. I know what I need to provide to my solicitor, to my mortgage broker, to the agent whenever I make an offer. It's right, there you go. Here's literally everything. But not everyone's in that situation. I mean, not everyone wants to be an estate agent, and a lot of people will probably tell you that. But I think if we could get a basic level of education out as well, in terms of when you were doing this, which you very rarely do, please have everything ready. Otherwise, we're going to have some massive delays.
Yeah.
That could help.
And what do you think would be the most important things for a buyer and a seller to have ready to go from day one when an offer's accepted? I would have thought for the seller, it would be any paperwork they'd been given when they bought it, so they can hand it over and say, when I bought, I was told A, B, and C, as well as anything they might have done to the property themselves. So planning permissions, certificates for new windows and boilers, those types of things. Whereas on the buying side, I'd have thought perhaps being ready to, as we've just been saying, illustrate how you came to have the money that you have.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, even in the past couple of years, you get more checks through the sale. So, we get a survey done, they're going to want to see that if there's a gas boiler, they want to see a gas safe certificate, they want to see an installation certificate, the electrics, they want to see a valid EICR, if it's being rewired, if someone's put in a plug that's dodgy, we want to see everything that's come for that. UPVC for windows and fences, for windows and doors. I think, as a vendor, although some things aren't legally required, we know everyone's going to ask them now. It's something that we can get ahead of the curve on. So before it becomes a legal formality, it's just a formality. Have a gas safe, have an EICR, have all, especially if you've only purchased it as well recently. You have all that paperwork. Hopefully you kept hold of it. If you haven't, then go and find it. Definitely provide that. I think just over-provide the documentation. It's going to be annoying for the agent and for the solicitor to have to risk through it, but we'd much rather have everything upon asking in case something quite serious comes through.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the buyers.
From my point of view, if a seller comes in with a stack of papers like this for the house because they kept every piece of paper they were ever given, I would much rather see that than absolutely nothing but a form that says they've had all sorts of things done.
Yeah.
I can go through a stack of papers and pull out quite quickly what I think is going to be needing to be revealed to the buyer's side. So, I think a good stack of paperwork is always a good thing from my view.
Yeah, it's beneficial to see that they're taking care of everything.
Yeah.
We've had clients, especially when it's children of vendors that are quite elderly, or if it is a probate situation, where they will come in with several folders with the stuff, and we roll our eyes thinking, okay, that's a lot of work to go through. However, it's it's much more to have it now, go through it, right, this is what we need, this is what we have. If anyone asks any questions, brilliant. And obviously it can also be passed on as well. I'd say one thing that's quite interesting we've got at the moment is a chain where, so we have our vendors are purchasing onwards. The purchase that they're doing, there's a conservatory on the property, and that was put there to buyers before the current owners. Now we're having to retrospectively try and find, planning permission, all of that, which you can't find because it's over 20 years ago. It was 1996. The property was built, the conservatory was put in. We're not finding that, and the lovely two words indemnity policy has come up. Now, that is obviously it covers you. It covers you for everything, but ideally we don't want indemnity policies because it's just another sort of can of worms. If you want to sell the property again, just have the paperwork ready. If you can't find it, let us know from the get-go rather than we stumble block halfway through. I think that's definitely something that would help. Yeah,
I would always say too much paperwork is not a bad thing. Yeah, definitely. We very briefly touched on searches earlier on when you mentioned how long they take in Warwick.
Yeah.
How you said that most of your work is falling within the Warwick Council.
Yeah.
Where you reckon they're taking about a fortnight at the moment.
Yeah.
Just to say that Warwick is probably one of the better local authorities at the moment in terms of speed.
Okay.
So I'm finding at the moment, and for quite a while now, Coventry, for example, has been in the region of 6 weeks. Bedworth and Nuneaton, that's also seems to be up at the 5 or 6 week mark as well.
Okay.
Used to be 2 not so long ago. But it's one of these things that varies throughout the country. So when you're in a chain and you get 3 emails from 3 different agents saying searches have just been ordered, if that's Warwick, great. You might be having them back in a week. If that's Coventry, 6.
Yeah.
And every so often you hear about a local council that's got issues and they can't give any indication on how long it's going to take.
Yeah.
So I imagine that can be a bit of a guessing game as well, without being familiar with each of the councils that a chain's property might be in.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, obviously majority of your chains do tend to stay local. We've got one that starts in Bristol, ends in Lancashire. I mean, as a Yorkshireman, we tend not to go that side of the Pennines anyway. But most definitely, when there are regional sort of differences, if you were to the searches, we have had very similar conversations where okay, the searches are, and I've gone, searches, that's 2-3 weeks, and they've gone, no, they come back within 5 days. And then, like you said, we have had ones, we've had some Dorset way, I think it was, or near surrounding those areas, whichever sort of county council it was, or district council it is for there. I think it was 8 to 9 weeks for them to come back, because of quite some specifics, especially when you have areas where there definitely is mining or there has been mining. I know to a base level what they can cover. I think sort of that's off this. I think I'd like to know more about searches in general. But definitely for something that can be, in a sense, not so relevant. I know they're very legally formality and we do need them, but when you go through them, you're thinking, well, I know I can't put an extension on the flat. I know the flat isn't in the flood risk, it's 3rd floor. I know there's no wind farms within 5 miles. Sometimes you do think, well, why is it taking so long for this data to be collated if it's all maybe coming from the same source? I think searches they're interesting because correct me if I'm wrong, but I know you don't have to apply for them if you don't have a mortgage.
You don't.
Okay.
But you would be very much advised to.
Yes, no, of course.
There can be some, not often, but there can be some quite nasty results in there that you wouldn't have known about that would become your problem when you bought it and didn't know about it.
No, of course. And I think it's I think the reason why I sort of said that is almost why is there the option in that sense. Really, realistically, if okay, you don't have to, but we advise you to. It maybe should become an option. When we had a sale sort of in the neck of the woods somewhere in a Radway over there, and the client said, we're quite concerned. It said it's a radon area. So, we know the base levels, it's very low level of radiation, as everything is. Usually it's brown sites, a landfill or ex-construction when it starts to panic, but this is all surrounding fields, and this is again where the good communication with the solicitor and the agent came in. Because again, searches, it's a big wad of documentation that is full of jargon that you will definitely understand. I kind of understand as an agent, but the client may not understand at all, for example, at this point. So we all had a sort of a 3-way communication and said, okay, now we understand your anxieties on this and the apprehension from this, but this is the XYZ of it, or our interpretation of the XYZ of it. It's a local area. We do cover this. Here's the free link to the website that actually tells you everything you need to know. It's actually government provided, the website, and it's very, very well colour-coded map, actually, in terms of just the layman terms of it. But again, I think it's sort of exactly everything that we've covered so far is that searches, again, they're a delay, but they're sometimes not a delay depending on where you are, but they require so much thought and thinking into them from your side, my side, the client side, when in reality could this be done in a simpler way? Could the information all be pre-provided maybe? And almost, the everywhere but the England way of buying and selling a house. Because it's what we hear when we have, especially vendors or buyers from Scotland or Wales, is, why is the process so difficult? And we go, we don't know, actually. It's just what we're stuck with.
I think it's one of these things where it's been this way for a long time and it worked back then.
Yeah.
But then things have been added to the process frequently over time, where you've made something that back in the 80s, as you pointed out, might have been done in 3 or 4 weeks, whereas now it's 2 or 3 times that, because there's 2 or 3 times the amount of work that connects into it, I suppose.
Yeah, it's good. On the, I think, sort of maybe the safety side and the security side of it, you almost want it to take some time, because it's just the way our minds work is, okay, it's an important purchase, it's a very big investment, it's the most stressful time of my life. Would I actually be comfortable if it was sorted in 2 weeks? It'd be great, don't get me wrong, a lot of people would probably enjoy that, but then you'd maybe have a sort of a sliver of doubt thinking, has this gone through properly? Especially with knowing everyone else this goes through sort of a slightly longer
speed. Do I have buyer's remorse?
Yeah, exactly.
Not having had time to think about it.
Yeah, I think I think an accurate and a good time length would be anywhere between maybe the 8 and 12 week mark. I think that it's 2 to 3 months. Okay, it's not the quickest. It's quite, it can be the entire spring on the entire summer. Well, we have 3 days of summer rather than 3 months over here. But, it's halfway through winter maybe, and it's a good enough time. I think when we start encroaching the 14-week mark and anything after that, that's when we start hitting panic stations. Definitely from our perspective. Again, we've got the clients to take care of, and the buyers might start looking elsewhere. What's sort of the timeline that you've maybe seen from your side where clients have gone, Alex, what's going on here?
It does tend to be at that longer range, although some people, anybody can buy a house, so it is literally working with members of the public. So I see people who are panicking after 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah. And, we've said to them, the buyers have said their searches aren't due back until, a time in the future. Yeah. Everything is going fine. There's no need to worry. This is well within the normal time frames. Yeah. But there's still that worry there. It's the unknown. I don't know what my buyer's doing, what my buyer's thinking. That unknown gives anxiety, I think. Yeah, of course. I mentioned I've got a couple where I could have been ready if there were no chain back in November, December. We know very firmly what the issue is with one of them. It relates to a grant of probate. Yeah. That's all just with the probate registry, and we're told that's due soon. Those people have been informed of what it is. They have an idea of what it's going to take to get there. They're okay, I think. Yeah. Probably frustrated because they probably would have rather have had it 3 months ago.
Well, especially maybe pre-Christmas as well. Yeah.
But I think the comfort there is that it's basically, within a, normal process of what happens with a grant of probate. I think that probably gives some comfort.
I think if it's a known, then I think people, but when it becomes unknown.
That's my other one. Yeah. Again, could have been ready about the same time. There's a deed of variation needed somewhere at the top of the chain.
Nice.
And that deed of variation issue seems to have now been going on for 2 or 3 months that I'm aware of. Yeah. So it's hard to get a grasp of what people feel from an email, but I do feel there is a slight change in the tone of the emails that are requesting updates at the moment. So it makes me think that soon they may well be looking elsewhere, having given up on this particular chain.
Well, I mean, deeds of variation, as soon as you said that, my heart sank. It's, they're legally necessary. And, again, we would never, ever persuade someone to just take it on the chin, move on, just to get you in. But again, I think it's third party, and it's what we've touched base on earlier is the complete lack of communication, or the least clarity of communication from said aspect in maybe a chain, or even if it's no chain. We want to know what's going on, even if it is, this is what we've applied for, we still haven't heard back, we are chasing, it's been escalated. It's when things go sort of silent for 2 weeks, and we're thinking, well, is actually anything happening? And I think that is very much, I'd completely understand if a client was like, well, this has been said the same thing for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 3 months maybe, and we don't know what it is. Whereas, again, grant of probate, it's fine. Everyone understands that to a basic level is, unfortunately, it has to go through this set of ways. There is a, light at the tunnel, if you were. We know that it's going to find a resolution, ideally ASAP. But, there may be a delay on it. A document may have been lost and provided. And I think when it comes to deeds of variations, or, again, anything involving more than one third party, you're watching at that point. You just sit there thinking, nope, check again in the next week, no. And unfortunately, unless you've got direct communication from the party that are dealing with that, everyone starts to panic. We panic. And we just go, well, what's going on? We want this to go through.
And it's the unknown, it's the not knowing that's the issue.
Yeah. It is.
Which comes back to our first sort of point about communication between the parties. Yeah. It might not move the deed of variation along any quicker. But if everybody knows, everyone has the comfort of saying, right, I know how to plan my next month.
Exactly.
Or however long it's going to take.
Well, and I think it's something we haven't actually touched base on, is that this is all going on while everyone's lives are still going ahead. regardless of their situation. Whether, okay, it's first-time buyers. My situation, I'm in rented, so I'm going to be okay realistically in terms of time frames. Probably the easiest situation to be in. And then from my perspective anyway, obviously everyone else is different. You've got people that are maybe buying and selling a house. So they're selling their property. They were first-time buyers last time. They've grown their family a bit. They want a bigger property. So they've now got maybe children to take care of, and they're thinking school fees, childminding fees. I know all of that. I've spoken to several clients, and they go, well, this is something we need to start planning for, because then obviously there's the whole move. So all that needs to be planned for. Then you've got maybe bigger families. You've got people that family aren't local, so they're by themselves. Again,
and you've got people's specific life issues as well that are happening at the same time. So that could be anything really. Relocating for work purposes, dissolution of the family unit through divorce. It could be anything. So you've got, in the case of the divorce scenario, you've got the stress of a house move along with the stress of everything that comes with a divorce, as well as stress of changing a job. So it's, if people do know what is going to happen and when, even if we could say something like nothing is going to happen for the next month, at least for the next month, they know where they stand.
I think that's really important. Is just, I can't give you the specifics, but I can give you the gist of it, because this is what we've been given. Is always 100%, can't be argued, sounds a lot better than I don't know. Especially when when it comes down to it, we are being paid for a service, and if we say we don't know because of something else, then that's not customer satisfaction at the end of it, and we need to know. So which I don't become best of friends with some agents, especially when sort of this situation happens. I need to know what's going on now, because I might be annoying, but I've got clients to take care of, and if my clients lose their purchase because you're not getting me information that they want, then your sale also falls through. In the aspects of sounding like an awful estate agent, it's all about the money.
But that's the practicality of a chain.
That is something we do need to consider. But the most important fact is, my client needs to secure their sale and secure their purchase. I will make sure that happens in any way possible. If that means I annoy the agent at the bottom of the chain, which I do all the time, and I don't make a lot of people's good lists, and some solicitors as well. We won't overly call them, especially if they're not direct, because we know it gets on your nerves. But sometimes, I'm sure you've had it, you'll have to bypass someone because, for whatever reason, whether the staff has taken leave and no one's covering the file, if, whatever reason, sometimes we just need to know the answers, and we will have to then bypass someone or two people or three people to get that. And if that means we can keep our clients happy in the know, and less risk of things falling through, I think that's a very important thing. It's just making sure that everyone is on a base level. We know what's going on. We're not happy with it. No one's happy with it. I'm not happy with it. You're not happy with it. No, the dog isn't happy with it. They're thinking, I've got a big house to move into. No one's there. But if you're just going, what's happening? It's doubt, and doubt can kill chains 100%. We've seen it happen. We had one happen last year. Just someone went, I don't think it's going to happen, I'm pulling out. And it resolved in a couple of weeks afterwards. It was just because no one told us what was going on. So I think it's vitally important that everyone is in the basic level of the know, regardless of how it happens.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, well, I think that's all we've really wanted to discuss. We're in communication here every day anyway, several files together, which is great. Well, thank you for the opportunity of letting me run my mouth on camera, I think. I'm sure
Thank
my
you
boss...
for coming.
Yeah, no, of course. The parking was an issue, but it's fine. I managed to park. I paid for it on Ringo. So, but no, I think maybe... I hope a lot of people benefit from this, not in the sort of the egotistical way that, well, I'm on video, which I'm probably going to hate anyway. It's the fact that I think the education and on this aspect needs to be at a higher level. Again, it's okay, someone maybe moves house 4 times a year in terms of purchasing, but if they're already clued up, it's going to be a much more positive aspect, which means everyone will want to do it more, which means it'll happen faster. You'll get better clients, I'll get better clients, we'll be better with the clients, and so on and so forth.
And I'd say as well that I would invite any client of mine, if they don't understand something that's in the paperwork or something that I've said on an email, don't just bury your head.
Yeah.
I'd say just ask me what it means or
Yeah.
give me a phone call. And by what you said earlier, you as an agent are happy to take that query as well as best as you can.
200%. If someone comes to me with an issue, even if I can't resolve it, I know who can resolve it. It'd be Alex. Go annoy him. Go annoy Alex. I think that's probably the thing I'd like to leave sort of this with, and I know, but for everyone that would hopefully watch or listen to this, is that don't as the old Leicester manager says, don't be an ostrich. Take your head out of the sand, and just ask the question. There's no silly questions in this.
No.
When I'm doing a viewing, I'll ask a question. Of course you can. Ask a question. Ask a silly question. Ask away. Just ask, because if you don't ask, you don't know. Never assume. We all know what happens when you assume. It makes a you and me.
Yeah.
And just get the answers.
Well, I'm sure that both of us would much rather have a quick question now that takes a minute to answer.
Yeah.
Than get that same question after time has been spent buying and selling the house.
Exactly.
When it actually then causes a whole thing.
200%. I'd rather get everything sorted, and then we smooth sail to the dotted line. Again, it's why I asked the buyers at the beginning, get your mortgage valuation booked in, get your survey booked in, get your searches paid for. And then after you've done that, we'll do your onboarding. And after that, you can just sit and moan once you're ready. You can sit, I'll moan for you to the chain. Because if we're ready, we're ready. If we're not ready, we need to get ourselves ready. That's the most important thing. Yeah. Just be ready to blame everyone else. That's the situation we get ourselves in. It's the best situation to be.
First to be ready.
Yeah, well, exactly. I think that's the important thing. But our job is to get them there, and that's what we like to work alongside you guys rather than just with. It's the best way forward. So I think that would cover it. I'll probably give your ears a rest now and get back to the office. No,
Leon, thanks so much for coming by and having this conversation with me about your perceptions as a local estate agent, and
thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. It's good to meet you face to face as well. However, how many emails and phone calls we've had and discussing several clients, but happy to help any way we can. That's to you, to clients, and I know exactly. I know you guys always are as well. So it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Leon.
Thank you.